Hello everybody, this is Dr. Bob DiMaria with another episode of Ask Dr. Bob with some very tremendous questions. I'm in Westlake, Ohio and in Naples, Florida. You gotta join me at either location. Here we go. Dr. Bob, I sleep well, but after a few hours, I wake up and I'm tired without energy. Here's the rough rule of thumb. If you go to bed at 10 and you wake up at 11, it usually means you need B vitamins. If you go to bed at 10 and you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, it usually, and it could be, that you may have a problem with parasites. If you go to bed at 10 and you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, could be blood sugar dropping, blood sugar issues. Very good question. Hi, Dr. Bob. I have a couple questions from friends who are not on the internet. What can you do if the LDL cholesterol is raised up by oils? My answer to you is this. LDL usually elevates when you have an oxidation and or a liver issue. I may suggest the omega-6 test to determine if you have too many omega-6. It's the omega test evaluating omega-3 and omega-6, and you're doing this test because omega-6 oils will cause inflammation, like sunflower oil and safflower oil. That's a really important point. Omega-3 oils will tend to lower LDL. Have them investigate the type of oils that they are consuming. What's the best for dry eyes and also possible cataracts? I'm going to direct you to Dr. Bob's Guide to Prevent Surgery. Read the cataract chapter. Usually there are 10 parts calcium to 4 parts phosphorus on a blood test. If you have too much calcium in relationship to phosphorus, you may need some phosphorus. You may want to consider having a test done, which we call the Opti-Chem. Dry eyes usually respond, from my approach, iodine and or oil, which means you may want to do the urine iodine loading test. Great question. Read the chapter on cataracts in my book on preventing surgery. This was just a statement. They said hot sweat. So I wasn't sure if you wanted to know if it's night sweats or hot sweats. So when we have hot flashes, we usually use iodine. We usually support the adrenal glands, and or we may need to use some oil to support. Now, with all of those is that you could do some testing for iodine. You could take your blood pressure from a sit to stand to check your adrenals. You may consider an adrenal stress index. So it's a very open question. You may consider getting Dr. Bob's Drugless Guide to Balancing Female Hormones. My husband and I have been diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Very common. We see this in our practice all the time, and we normally see it when people have large livers on their x-rays. What we normally suggest from Biotics Research Corporation is phosphatidylcholine. You may want to use a liver product. We use something called MCS2. That's really important. And then you may consider maybe getting Dr. Bob's Drugless Guide to Detoxification. And you can also possibly use a product that we use called beta-TCP, which has taurine in it. Dr. Bob, what's the best medication for AFib, which is fibrillation, which is heart rate alteration? We have a chart that we use called the B and the G chart. There's 2 kinds of B vitamins. We call them B and G. You might want to contact our office, maybe schedule a consultation so we can work this with you, because AFib can be quite serious. Dr. Bob, we're a couple in Canada. You have a 9-month-old baby with a raspberry hemangioma, and they have different drugs for the hemangioma, and you wanted to know what could you use that would replace a beta blocker. We use a product from Biotics Research Corporation called ADHS. I am taking some of that right now just to kind of slow down that cortisol. ADHS, contact us from Biotics Research Corporation. Somebody else asked about AFib. They had it a few months ago. You're on a couple different kind of medication. You have blood pressure issues. So look to see what I said about AFib. Now, when it comes to cholesterol could be also raised because of stress. You also mentioned something about high blood pressure. We use magnesium. Now, there's several different types of magnesium. So you might want to be tested. That's what we do in our practice for the exact kind. But if you have severe high blood pressure, we use magnesium chloride. Tastes nasty, but it really works very good. Dr. Bob, I have a couple questions about ligaments, stiffness. So what we usually see is when people have stiffness, especially in the morning, they might not have enough phosphorus. And once again, we talk about the calcium phosphorus ratio. Usually you don't have enough phosphorus. Tremendous questions. I have some more that we're going to work on next week. I'm Dr. Bob DeMaria.